Good morning, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are, and welcome to this week's Weekly Energy Boost. My name is Elisheva, and I am joined this lovely Monday morning by my better half, Mordechai Balas, who is...
Co-pilot.
Co-pilot, there we go. That's a little bit more egalitarian. We're here this morning to share with you the wisdom and tools to find your inner compass. What's the full title? Eek. Something to making things happen. Sorry, I don't have it in front of me. Almost perfect, but not yet. So we're really talking this week. We have this beautiful energy coming in, or that joined us last week with the new moon of Pisces, the lightness, the energy of miracles, the energy of happiness. This week we have a very powerful cosmic window in which a very influential and powerful soul left the physical reality, and we know that when on the anniversary of the passing of a great soul, we can borrow and absorb from their influence to our own spiritual journey. And we're also in the kind of interesting roundabout way using this weekly energy to address and resolve the conflict that arises from being a spiritual being having a human experience. That on one hand, if you've been listening to the Weekly Energy Boost, you know that the everything that happens around us, at least according to the wisdom of Kabbalah, is really there to elicit and awaken growth and lessons within. And yet at the same time, the material world seems to take so much of our energy and time and resources. So today we really want to look at how to create that balance between, on one hand, trying to make things happen, trying to see results, trying to make a difference, and the reality that most of the time what we endeavor to create or to make or to change doesn't usually work out the way we think it will or the way we want it to, at least initially. And I was joking before, we probably talk about this in almost every episode. It might not have come out last week or the week before, but definitely we have a heavy rotation on the idea of letting go. The fact that we need to make our effort and detach from the results, but that's easier said than done. So the Weekly Energy Boost is always a 7-day spiritual weather forecast where myself and our guests, we aim to provide our listeners with the most powerful and practical wisdom and tools to navigate the coming 7 days. And through that exploration, we end up revealing wisdom and tools that you can use anytime. This week is no different. While this week it may be easier to give up and give in because things are not going according to our timeline or our expectations, the fact of the matter is that when that does happen, it's actually an opportunity for us to suspend reality another step, another level further, not looking at the external for validation or gratification, but really going inward. That's why I think the title, the inner compass title, becomes so important, is because if you're looking outside to measure your results or your accomplishments, you're probably always going to be disappointed or feel like you've fallen short, because that's not where the growth is. We spoke, actually, it's I want to make sure I don't leave it to chance for us to remember. A couple weeks ago, you were here and we talked about, you opened a can of worms just as we were about can of gummy worms, a can of light, just as we were going to wrap up the episode. So I want to, maybe that's the place to pick up. And for those of you who didn't hear the episode from a couple weeks ago about spiritual downtime, we embarked on a journey of correlating spiritual activity and brainwave activity, which fascinates me endlessly. It's one of those moments where spirituality and science dance together really so beautifully. And you started to say, I think it was when the brainwave, there's 4 different brainwaves. You can start the conversation again in a second, but that you said that when you're in Delta, things come to you.
Right.
So take it from here.
Yeah, well, obviously it's a lot. Just like a quick overview on what we shared back then. So there are 4 core brain waves, brain activity. the faster the waves are, the more reactive the individual is. And from that space, you cannot manifest. It's pretty impossible to manifest anything. You can go to different trainings and create vision boards and scream your goals and go even to a retreat weekend. But that's beta. And you want to get from beta to alpha. And alpha is already...
So alpha is one level above beta.
Alpha is one level deeper than beta. No need to apologize. And so alpha is 7 to 14 waves per second. Beta is 14 to 21. And 4 to 7 is theta. If you're familiar also with theta healing, it's a technique that teaches you how to get to theta. Theta is also the brain waves that we have before we fall asleep. And you have delta, which is the deepest one. That's below 4 waves per second. And that's also the time when we are asleep. That's the time that you can... This is the funny part, right? Like many times people have a belief system before they come to the path of Kabbalah and sleep, that sleep is a waste of time.
Right. People say I'll sleep when I'm...
That's what my mom says all the time. There's only one place you rest. But which is also not fully accurate. But the idea is to get to a place that throughout the day you operate from the deeper, aka higher consciousness, the deeper brain waves. And there are different Kabbalistic techniques, Kabbalistic meditations and sequences and tools that support you training your consciousness, which is the software for your brain, to become a master of... It's almost like in the movies, right? When this guy has a gift that he can pause the reality, he can slow down, and then it's like even in the Matrix or in so many movies that the bullet is shot, but then you see the scene goes on a slow motion, and the guy is like ditching, that's how you say it? Avoiding the bullets. Avoiding the bullets because he can just bend over and the bullet goes like slowly, and it's like above the brain, above the head, above whatever. But the idea is to get to that place that you start to control more and more the physical reality, and it becomes like a dance between you and the light of the Creator. And sometimes you say, okay, now I'm gonna do a move, and then you give it to your partner, which is the light of the Creator. Now it's your turn, you're gonna take this step, and that brings what the Kabbalists call magic, to experience life that is magical. And from that space, things that were tangled become untangled. Things happen to you. The Kabbalists talk about the idea, there's so many things related to this. One is Nishmat Adam Telamdenu, which is your soul becomes your guide, starts to teach you what you should do now, what you should say now. You become, rather than like the soul on a soft voice, even on mute, the soul becomes your guide. And some people might call it intuition, or your inner voice, right? Your inner compass. But that's when you experience more and more freedom. That you don't need to prepare as much as you used to for a meeting or an important conversation, or you don't need to prepare as much on how am I going to write this email. How is the message going to come across? And recently, I experienced with one of our colleagues something that I noticed, but I didn't know if I'm the right person to give them that message. And I was contemplating, I was asking different people, who should I don't know, maybe it's someone else that should say to this person. And 3 days, not even 3 days after I asked that question, that individual came to me and asked, do you have a message for me? What did you see? So the things come to you. Like I thought that maybe I'm supposed to give it to someone else to give that individual the message. And the idea is that sometimes people even ask, I don't get it. What am I doing wrong? How come I'm not manifesting? I mean, I have all these goals.
Not only that, but we have people, students, teachers, even they're doing spiritual work 24/7, 26. Relatively, most of their waking time, they're spiritually minded and using tools and studying and all the things that we talk about. Yet there isn't a change in this area or that area. They're not seeing results from the effort that they're putting through.
Right, and it's because the concept of never shop when you're hungry. It applies also to never decide when you're reactive. Never decide, don't think we cannot afford to think that we can come with clarity when we are in beta. And by the way, those 4 levels, they correspond to the 4 spiritual realms that the Kabbalists talk about, that the lower 3 are they are represented by verbs, creation, formation, and action. The top one, which is the delta, correspond to the delta. That's the world of emanation. Emanation, everything is light. Now, don't get me wrong. You're not living now in La La Land, that something happens and you say, nothing happened. Everything is okay. But the lower 3, there are places that there's separation. One time the person feels, this is coming from the light of the Creator. It's there for a good reason. And the other, a minute later, they're victims. I don't get it. Why is it happening? Why is it happening to me? So part of the answer to the question of an individual 20, 30 years on the path, using all the tools, how come the individual is not manifesting what they can, is coming back to the answer is, maybe you have slowed your brainwaves, maybe you've gone deeper, but you did not manage to stay there long enough to create the impact. Once you manage to do that, you'll start even asking the right questions. The right questions are, it is the wrong question to ask why it's not happening. A person want to ask, how can I make it work? How can I do it right? And every question that you ask from the right space, by the way, delta, delta is a state. Some people might call it like feeling even high, right? Delta is a state that you don't even need the goals anymore because things are already manifesting. And I watched different documentaries and different interviews with highly, at least considered to be successful people. And so many of them say the same thing. You know what? I wasn't even focusing on being successful. I wasn't focusing. It wasn't for me about making the money. And I don't know how to explain it, but just things came to me. It came to me. Even if they managed to stay enough in alpha or enough in theta or enough in delta. But delta is already a place you don't even need your goals. You're just in a state of constant manifestation.
Okay, wait. Let me stop you there.
Yes.
What if what you're desiring to accomplish is not the creation of something? The change that you're looking for is not progress or the generation of something new. what if it's letting go of something? What if it's no longer wanting to be with your ex? Or what if it's letting go of something that happened in the past, that it's not newness, it's releasing something old that you're trying to, that's what you're focused on.
Right. So this is a very, very good question. Thank you for that, honey.
I have to thank one of our listeners who wrote in saying they need help letting go of their
Amazing.
ex.
So this is the famous one, right? Don't think about white elephants. The moment you say don't think, you already think about it. So many times people perceive letting go as have to detach. By the way, this is the Kabbalistic definition. Detaching from how and when I want certain things to happen. So whether it's the money or the love or the relationship, or let's say it's the ex, what am I detaching from? It is detaching from how and when I'm going to feel the freedom of not being busy in my mind, occupied, or feeling the hurt. How do you get there? Instead of thinking about what you don't want or what you want to let go, there's a very simple way. Think about, first of all, one thing that you can do is, obviously, when we are attached, we are in beta. We are in the world of action, which is the lowest realm. That's attachment. When is it going to be? How long is it going to take? And by the way, when we think that way, it's going to prolong the process. Because the universe is designed to mirror our consciousness, and there's the force called the opponent, which is like the machines in the gym that are opposed to us, designed to oppose us to grow our spiritual muscles. So it's going to prolong the process, because the opponent says, oh, I see now a spiritual vein that I can use to take energy. So they're losing their patience, their kindness, their human dignity when certain things don't happen. So let's keep on making sure that it doesn't happen. The way to let go, to detach, and things to come to you is, and we spoke about it already back then in the last time I was here, is to use the Kabbalistic tools with the intention of slowing your brainwaves, deepening your consciousness, elevating your consciousness, and then once you move from beta, it's like you're going above the clouds. You're moving from beta to alpha. Whatever is like the storm that is below the clouds, there's no storm in alpha. There's no storm in theta. It's heaven in delta. You know, certain people, when they appreciate sleep enough, when they wake up, on one hand, lower level would be, I can't wait to go back to sleep. Right? And this is, by the way, one of the causes for people that it's hard for them to wake up in the morning, because they're not having enough time throughout the day that they're experiencing the deeper brain waves. So when
that sounds like me.
I have nothing bad to say about you, honey.
Okay, just
you're perfect.
Confessing. I don't know that I do that enough, and I could sleep 12 hours and still feel like, oh my God, I need more.
But the key is, if you learn to divide it throughout the day, to have those tastes of this beautiful dessert, right, or whatever dish is that you like, then you don't need it as much when you are asleep. And those that are in the deeper consciousness throughout the day, instead of not thinking about what you want to let go, think about what you want to have. And once you are focusing, and by the way, a way to do this, I'm just going to give an example. Let's say I'm attached to a situation with my money, or with a certain relationship, or they just texted me and I don't know even how to answer, and I'm occupied with this. So instead of thinking like, I don't want to be attached, you're going to be attached because of that. Go to a place of quieting as much as possible. Like, thinking about something else, quieting the mind. Try, let's say, listening to your breathing for 5 minutes, for 10 minutes, 15 minutes. There's an exercise I share in the Art of Spiritual Sleep, the private sessions, is to put your 2 index fingers on your ears, like to seal your ears. And this is a Kabbalistic technique from the 10 luminous emanation studies. Obviously, it wasn't written exactly like that, but when you do that, you become more, you go deeper in your consciousness. And also breathing through the diaphragm, that's also allowing you to elevate the consciousness. There's more and deepen the brain waves. There's more oxygen also coming in to the system. There's so many beautiful ways. Even if you take, let's say, a hot shower, the last 10 seconds to switch
I know what you're going to say.
freezing cold water. 10 seconds. On the head and even on the back. This is another way. It's like there's certain techniques that they take you out of beta. They take you out of the world of action. And they elevate you to the world of formation and to the world of creation. And the energy of the world of emanations, which is the top. And it's all inside our mind. That's when your soul guides you.
No, this is really powerful for me personally, and I'm thinking about a few individuals I know that their main challenge isn't actually a physical barrier or a relationship or a situation. It's the overthinking.
Yeah.
And today it's probably clearer for me more than ever why overthinking. I can actually remember a few months ago David sitting there and us talking about how overthinking never solved a problem.
And you know what amazes me? So many people, I see it throughout the social media, so many people are focused on being in shape, losing weight, nutrition, physical activity, which is important. Wait a second. What about getting your mind in shape?
Your mental fitness.
Your mental fitness.
It's definitely a topic for people these days. Mental health is more than ever probably coming to the forefront of those important conversations around health and wellness. But that, for me, we've spoken about how overthinking never solved a problem. Rather, the answers and the solutions come when we're busy doing something else. Suddenly we have an aha moment, right? You're swimming and suddenly you realize what's going to...
Certain people need to do exercise so it will clear their mind.
I didn't even need to use an exercise. It's true. But moving your body often helps to reset your nervous system too. But it's more not focusing on the problem is actually how you solve it versus overthinking, obsessing, and micromanaging.
Because you get out of beta. And this is something that the Kabbalists have been using for thousands of years. This is not like something that was revealed 50 years ago. It only now has a different name, which is the brainwaves and all of that. And yes, science is gradually catching up. I remember I've been connected, thank God, to the to the Kabbalah Centre since the year 2000. And I remember starting to have spiritual experiences, and even the word meditation is the wrong PR to describe the spiritual experiences I had the chance to experience with my teachers, Rav and Karen Berg. I remember in 2003 starting to have more and more experiences, daily morning experiences with my teacher, Rav Berg. And I came from a world, I came from the technology industry, some say I never pronounce it right, high-tech industry. And this is the world where you're running, and you never catch up. And you have emails like it just keeps on piling up. And if you are taking a break, a week, a month, 3 months, you're coming back, there's a whole new technology. And now you need to catch up. So you can't even go on a vacation, because when you go on a vacation, you always feel like I'm missing something. So I remember seeing my teacher, and I'm already like coming in this race, and I see that my teacher is taking the time in the morning to be engaged in, I'm sorry for saying it that way, but I don't have a better way to describe it, active meditation. And I'm saying now, years later, I began to appreciate it more and more, what Rav Berg has been doing to really, by deepening the consciousness, to begin with, your soul becomes your compass, and you don't even need to let go on something because it was already taken care of. Right? They say, what's the difference between a smart person and a wise person? A smart person knows how to solve a situation. A wise person doesn't even get to the situation to begin with. So by doing this, even if it's first thing in the morning, that you connect with your compass, to begin with, the whole day looks different. And by the way, here and there, the universe will throw you like a curveball, and it's okay. But because you already train your mind enough, less and less things and less situations are going to pull you down back to beta or to the world of action. So you still live in the physical reality, but you're almost like, it's like you're looking from a little bit from above over the reality, and that gives you control, because if you're trying to find your way around the maze, you might find it and how long it's going to take you. But if you go above the maze, you know exactly where to go. And it doesn't mean you know exactly where to go. You'll be guided where to go right, where to take left. You'll hear this inner voice, soft, and telling you, you shouldn't say anything right now. Or you know what, wait another week, or, sign the document now. But it will be a subtle voice. If you hear this voice saying, sign it now, because if you don't sign it now, you're going to lose this deal. That's probably not your soul. That's probably you operating from the beta, from the lower consciousness.
What does it mean when something doesn't change?
Rav Ashlag, the founder of the Kabbalah Centre, says that if you're doing this spiritual work and you haven't seen a sign of blessing, you haven't experienced the magic after between 3 to 5 years, you haven't seen magic, there's one or two things missing. Quality in the spiritual work, or quantity. Meaning, quality means I'm doing the meditation, I'm doing what you told me to do, but I'm not really there. I'm not really giving all my heart to this. I'm not really making the full effort. I'm doing it because you told me to do it.
Or you're in testing mode. I find a lot of people they're not all in because they're testing it, and they're with one foot out the door already saying,
I'm going to go on that date because you recommended for me to go on that date, but it's not going to work. No.
Right.
That's quality. Quantity is you're doing this and you're supposed to do it, let's say, for 10 minutes, but you're doing it for 9 minutes. A minute before the breakthrough, before the momentum is already picking up, you're saying, okay, I just got to go to do this other thing. So it's either quality or quantity when you're asking the question, which, by the way, the question is not why it's not happening. The question is, how can I make it happen? And when you start to deepen your consciousness, also the right questions come to you, and every question creates an angel. That angel is in charge on bringing you the answer. So you're in constant, when you deepen your consciousness, you are in constant relationship with the 4 support systems that the Zohar, the main text of Kabbalah, talk about. Every soul that comes to this physical reality, to this game of life, has 4 support systems. The light of the Creator, angels, that we create angels, there are angels that were created from the beginning, there are angels that we create with our words, with our actions. So light of the Creator, angels, righteous souls, there are those that know and knew how to play the game of life, and they are your mentors. Even most of us don't see them, but they are there to guide us because they've been in a similar situation. And sometimes they are constant mentors, and sometimes they are mentors that just come in from one episode of your life. And there's your soul. And if you look at those 4 relationships that support you, when you deepen your consciousness, when you operate from that deeper state, it becomes an ongoing symphony throughout the day, and also when you're asleep, that you are interacting with those 4 systems. And it's like walking on a cloud. You're still operating in the physical reality, but things come to you. You get to manifest more. There's a study that was done on business leverage. They found out that the higher successful people, one of the 5 things that they use to create business leverage, meaning they deal with high vibration. They need to make decisions that involve lives of people and billions of dollars. So if they are not able to stay in a high vibration or in a deeper consciousness, meaning if they are in beta, it takes a toll on the body. And these people can get sick. And sometimes you see like very successful people that decided to leave the company that they founded because the vibration became so high and they were not enough deep in their mindset, in their brainwaves, and they realized they have to take a break because it's too fast for them and they don't know how to slow it down, so they slow it down externally. One of the 5 things that high successful people do to maintain high vibration is to use spiritual practice. You call it meditation, call it techniques. And they found in research that was done that when you 15 minutes a day impacts the productivity of your day so much time more than what it used to be if you didn't do it, if you didn't do the spiritual practice. I don't remember the exact number, but it's very, very high. So you get to do in I don't know, 2 hours, 3 hours of walk, what another individual would do in 15 hours of walk. So it's so special. I ask people, what's the most important relationship you have in your life? Some people tell me, well, you know, my spouse, my kids. Some people say, because they're on the spiritual path, the light of the Creator. And I say, you know, the most important relationship you have, I learned it from my teachers, is your soul. You're not dating your soul. It's like my birthday partner, Jerry Seinfeld. By the way, I found out today that another stand-up comedian, Modi, was born also on the same day.
That's very funny.
So
unintended.
It's intended.
You're using the mic in a different way.
Yes, absolutely. So it's very interesting, right? Jerry said that before you get married, it's a dictatorship. You decide. I'm going to go on a dinner. I'm not going to do this. Once you get married, it becomes democracy. You have to vote on anything. And in a similar way, when you start to date someone, usually when people start to date, they are extra kind. What do you feel like doing? would you like to go out? You want to stay? You want to watch a movie? What do you feel like doing it? And sometimes you'll even, I would say, sort of, not compromise, but you let go of what the other person wants to do. And when people get married many times, it's like they still want to go back to the dictatorship. So when people get married many times, the kindness is lowered down. The human dignity is lowered down. Maybe some people are taking certain things for granted and they think, this person is with me, so I might as well fight for what I believe in or stick to my desires. And it's in a similar way. You want to date your soul. Just like you were kind to the other person when you were dating them, that's the kindness you want to experience with your soul throughout the day. And that's another way to connect with your inner compass. Because we invest so much in developing relationships. Spouse, kids, co-workers, boss. Wait a second. There's, I don't want to say entity, but help me here. Like there's a part of you, this is the most important relationship. 24/7 you are together. Even when you're asleep and the soul elevates, the majority of the soul elevates to the upper worlds, still, it's your soul. The soul never goes to sleep. How much are you dating your soul? And what does it mean throughout the day? What would make you happy? What would you like to do? So many people are feeling uncomfortable with the exercise of Louise Hay. And I don't believe Louise Hay rests in peace because she is very active in the upper worlds. How many people use this exercise of looking into the mirror and saying 3 times a day, Mordechai, or you can say any other name, whatever is your name, I really, really love you. What can I do for you today to make you happy? How many people feel uncomfortable looking into their eyes in the mirror and not hearing the voice of your opponent saying like, what is this exercise? Are you an idiot? You're actually listening to this exercise? This is ridiculous. Why are you doing it? Keep on going back to beta. But this is the idea. When we develop our relationship with our soul, we'll also be able to develop our relationships with the Creator, with the righteous souls, with the angels, and then you more and more operate with that state. And I'd like just to say, what does it mean to invest in the soul on top of asking the questions? Is you take time to date your soul. Every couple in a healthy state have time that they go, even if they have kids and they have busy lives, they need time that they go on a date. If you take every day time to date your soul, this is not just me and my soul. We're going to have a quality time. That's the beginning or the continuation of making big things happen. Because once you grow that communication with your soul, you develop the love, the relationship. Loving yourself so you can love others. What is yourself? Is to learn to love and appreciate your soul. Then you open up the door for magic, for blessings, for excitement, for motivation, for inspiration. Because you are connected to the well, that the water is always there. It's constant flow.
Okay. I wanted to end this week's episode with something that our teacher, Karen Berg, wrote a number of years ago. And that, to me, sums it up beautifully. Karen says, it's so easy to get caught up in the physical world. After all, it is where we live. It is where we work, toil, and engage in the blood, sweat, and tears of striving to manifest for ourselves and others. We are meant to do all these things, and yet there must also be a consciousness that sustenance and blessings do not come by our hand alone, as the Creator's hand is involved at least in equal measure. For example, a person can sign up for every dating app a dating website in the world. They could go out on 7 dates a week. Still, they will not find their soulmate until the Creator deems it so. As important as it is to put in the effort, it is of equal importance that we learn to let go and let God. This is an intense spiritual work. To live in the world of physicality, to strive with all our heart and soul for our goals, and yet to not be attached to the outcome, having certainty that the light prevails. It's quite a paradox, but as Rav Berg often said, the truth is in the paradox. The energy of this week is one that can help us let go of our agendas, our fixed ideas of what outcomes should be, of where we are headed and why. For the next 7 days, practice the art of letting go. Whatever will be, know that God is in it. That doesn't mean we should stop striving, or that doesn't mean we should stop striving to be our best, to do our best, and to meet our goals. It just means that we should also remember our dreams are so small compared to all that which the Creator wants to bless us. Sometimes all we need to do is experience that bounty of light. Take 2. Sometimes all we need to experience that bounty of light is simply to surrender to it. Couldn't put it better myself. So there you have it. Mic drop. Weekly Energy Boost is a 7-day spiritual weather forecast. It is available. That's the beginning, not the end. Maybe we can edit that out later.
Yeah.
Weekly Energy Boost is available on all podcast platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. You can find us on weeklyenergyboost.com, where you have our archives, some transcripts, and links to all the things we think are interesting and important for our listeners to know. You can also donate on weeklyenergyboost.com to support our podcast and continue to share, rate, like, and review. You're helping us reach more and more people every week, and for that we are eternally grateful. I am eternally grateful for you and to you and because of you. And we'll see you next week on the Weekly Energy Boost.
I forgot to say that even this is taking people from beta to alpha.